Well, a former roommate of one of the ISIS brides has spoken to Ben Fordham about what she was really like. Have a listen.
Well, just sitting around chatting as you do with your friends, and she didn't have any children at the time, so someone made the comment, why don't you go back to school before you have children? And she said, I'd rather learn how to make bombs.
And she also claimed she used her super to join Islamic State. Well, joining me now to discuss is retired Special Forces Major Heston Russell. Heston, thanks for your time. Now, you courageously served in Iraq in 2016 and 2017. You were leading the international special operations planning against Daesh, against ISIL, as it was then known, the same as ISIS. Can you tell us what you faced when you were fighting there? Because it seems like a lot of people have forgotten the threat of ISIS.
Yeah, g'day, Sharri, and great question. You know, this was the last of my 5 deployments to the Middle East on combat operations, and it was taking the fight to what is pure evil on earth. These are ideologically addicted people. They are fanatical. They have no care for life. I've been exposed to a lot of death and destruction in my time, but these people trade in it on the daily, and they were executing women and children, cutting them in half and stringing them up off buildings, off street poles. They believed that their way of life, their extremist Sunni way of life was the only one and would destroy anyone and everything in the most horrific way. And we had the privilege of fighting and supporting with the Iraqis to help remove them from Mosul, and 42 other international countries who joined, identifying the real threat that these people are and were and still are today in this society, because you don't walk away from that ideology. And these people are trained that martyrdom, that death in doing this destruction will bring them salvation and profit in the afterlife. And these are people who need to be rehabilitated before there is any conversation about reintegration into Australian society.
I've made this point a number of times over the past couple of weeks as we've been having this debate, that Australian authorities haven't actually had access to this group since 2022. So they don't have a proper knowledge base of exactly whether they are radicalised, how radicalised they are. We know that there 3 are considered extreme, or their risks are about 3 of them. But do you think we should be allowing this ISIS cohort back into Australia unless our authorities and our agencies have had access to assess them?
Well, first and foremost, I don't understand how any Australian citizen going to a known war zone and interacting with, let alone living with, let alone taking minors, children, to be associated with known terrorist individuals and organisations is not a crime that sees them incarcerated as soon as they come to Australia. That's the first point. If there's not legislation being passed to rectify that, then I believe our government's not doing its job. Secondly, like I said beforehand, this ideology is so fanatical, so brutal, so evil that any perceived risk to the Australian public has to come first. They need to be assessed and gone through a process whereby we are ascertained if they haven't been indoctrinated, if they're not radicalised, if they don't require this rehabilitation. Far before, again, we're talking about, what school they're going to go to in Victoria or New South Wales. And to be honest, this process needs to be established moving forward as a professional process by our government.
Just very quickly, moving to Iran, there won't be boots on the ground, but what can you tell us about some of the special forces and the work they might be doing with locals to support them?
Absolutely, Sharri. I mean, it's incredible to see this strategy play out. We said before, even the US's strategic move of potentially securing oil in Venezuela before disrupting the Middle East. This is classic playbook stuff, and special operations forces, all the 3-letter organisations would have been on the ground, US, Israeli, others, supporting these strikes, supporting getting those ready to help with the revolution. As I said to you beforehand, this is, regime change, and it has to come from the revolution of the people. Striking the leadership, striking the new leadership as it comes to place. Elements on the ground supporting those who will rise up, form the revolution and secure the position for the new regime to come in. That is all what's going to be played out, and it's really impressive to see that occurring. As a Special Forces officer and planner myself, I could just imagine what's going on the ground and really look forward to seeing how this continues, to be honest, from a strategic perspective.
Yeah, it's really interesting because while there won't be boots on the ground, there will be this sort of support the three-letter agencies. I suppose you're saying they're CIA and others to help the locals who hopefully will be able to take Iran into a new era. I mean, that's the big question. We haven't seen that yet. That's what everyone's waiting to see what will happen next, who the leader will be. Heston, it's been so terrific to have you joining me, as always. I really appreciate it. Thank you.